Welcome to a brand new episode of the Michele Tafoya podcast. It is Wild Card Wednesday, which means you should click subscribe. You never want to miss a Wild Card Wednesday with us because you never know what you're going to get, but it's always going to be good. That's what we think, and we believe that. So click that subscribe, whether you're on Apple or Spotify or YouTube. Be with us for every single episode. All right, starting with today, Wild Card Wednesday. We're all over the map for you, but it's important. Lately, and remember that I am sitting here in Minnesota, living in the land of fraud, and I'm sure other states have it. I know other states have it. They just have to, but this has been massive. Now, all of this kind of stems from immigration, legal and illegal. There are both kinds, and there is a distinction. So when you say you don't love illegal immigration, don't let anyone tell you you're a xenophobe. It simply means that you prefer things to be done by the book, lawfully, so that people who are really working hard to become immigrants here, legal immigrants and citizens, don't get leapfrogged by people who sneak in, who come in unvetted, with just no plan. This is not controversial, folks. Do you remember a guy by the name of Barack Obama? So he was the president for 8 years, and this really wasn't that long ago. And here is what he said over the years. Listen closely to what he said about illegal versus legal immigration. Roll it.
Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable.
We all agree on the need to better secure the border and to punish employers who choose to hire illegal immigrants. We are a generous and welcoming people here in the United States, but those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are showing disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully.
This is not going to be a free ride. It's not going to be some instant amnesty. What's going to happen is you are going to pay a significant fine. You are going to learn English. You are going to go to the back of the line so that you don't get ahead of somebody who was in Mexico City applying legally. But after you've done these things over a certain period of time, you can earn your citizenship. So that it's not something that is guaranteed or automatic. You've got to earn it, but over time, you give people an opportunity. Now, it only works, though, if you do all the pieces. I think the American people, they appreciate and believe in immigration, but they can't have a situation where you just have 500,000 people pouring over the border without any kind of mechanism to control it. So we've got to deal with that.
Okay, did you listen to all of that? Common sense, reasonable. You got to do it by the book. You got to check certain boxes. You have to do the work. You got to get to the back of the line. All of those things that Barack Obama said that make total sense. Okay? You must earn it. You must do the thing. You must come here legally. You must follow the rules. But somehow, once Joe Biden became president, there weren't 500,000 people crossing the border, just flooding. I'm using Barack Obama's word, flooding. There were millions. Millions. And some people didn't believe it. Some people just refused, and we were told the border is secure. The border is secure. Do not come. Do not come. Everybody came. And we are now dealing with that. And we can't just say, let's let water under the bridge. Let's let bygones. Let's go. Let's just move on. We cannot. We can't. We are a nation of laws. And for all of the people I know, including my ancestors who came here legally and did it by the book, everyone should have to do that. Everyone should have to do that. Okay, so that leads us to Minnesota and all the fraud you are hearing about here, which is disproportionately being committed by our Somali community. Minnesota has the second largest Somali community on the planet, second only to Somalia. We have a massive and growing, it's grown over the course of many decades, under temporary protected status, which, remember that, temporary protected status. Many of them are here, and they are ingrained in Minnesota, and they've become an important voting bloc. Don't believe me? Understand this. Our mayoral election last November, these candidates were speaking Somalian. They learned to speak Somalian. So it's not that these Somalis are necessarily coming in and assimilating. In fact, they're expecting their mayor to speak their language to them. So this is a significant population here in Minnesota with a disproportionate participation in this fraud. And I'm sure you've heard about it by now, so I don't want to get into all the details of that. But before you just jump to the conclusion that this is racist, because this group will use that against you, part of the fraud has been committed because they threatened this group to accuse everyone of racism if they didn't get these deals with the government funding. Now, before you jump to the conclusion that it's a bunch of white Minnesotans pointing the finger at the Somali community, I want you to hear this from a Minneapolis handyman. Roll it.
I'm from Minneapolis, and Somalians are just part of the culture here. As far back as I can remember, I've always seen Somalians. And in these past 5 years, the population increased so much. It went from seeing them to them feeling like the majority a lot of places that I go. And also, over the past few years, I've noticed that I see a lot of them with new cars. So I'm a handyman, and I worked on a lot of Section 8 housing to make sure they're up to standard. And one thing I've noticed when I go to these Section 8 houses, one, it's usually a Somali family. And what I mean usually, it's 9 times out of 10. And those houses usually have new cars in the front. I mean cars with an S, multiple new cars. And what I mean usually is like 8 out of 10 Somali houses, I've seen that. And I always wondered how someone on Section 8 can afford multiple new cars. I just couldn't put it together. So now finding out about this fraud stuff makes so much sense. And you know who I feel bad for other than me for paying for that in my taxes? Is Somalians who came here on the up and up and who didn't break the law. Because as a black man, I know how it feels to be judged because someone else with your same skin color did some stupid shit that you wouldn't approve of. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but one thing I do know is I've been saying for years we need to kick Tim Walz out because he knew about this shit from the beginning.
Okay, it's one guy, but it's difficult to argue his perspective here based on his own experiences and what he has seen. And he is not wrong. It's just everyone is afraid to say it. He's not afraid. Because everyone is afraid here in Minnesota Nice of being called racist or xenophobic or Islamophobic. No one wants to be called those names. And that's what you will be called if you point out something that you're noticing, like this guy did. No one wants to be called those names. But we do want accountability. And we don't like this kind of criminality that robs Minnesota taxpayers. Okay, so now having said that, let's move on to Joe Rogan, of all people, who made this observation about Tim Walz when Tim Walz, and believe me, most people in Minnesota didn't even see this coming. He changed the state flag, but this is important. We're going to show you this clip from Rogan, and you'll see Tim Walz changing the state flag. And then we're going to show you what Rogan's talking about, what this flag reminds him of. Misty, roll it.
You ever seen that? No. The video of him taking down the Minnesota flag and he replaced it with the new flag that looks a lot like the Somali flag. Minnesota has a huge population of Somalis in it.
Oh, wait a minute.
So he gets the flag, picks it up, moves it out of the way, and replaces it. Look at this.
There, that's better.
Why is that better?
I don't know.
Why is it better? Most people in Minnesota did not vote on this. Now, you saw that flag there. Misty, put up the picture of the Somali flag. Okay? You notice the blue? Do you notice the star? Okay? This falls under the category of, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. A lot of people have noticed that and made that observation. So, now we could be on the cusp of the next great fraud in Minnesota. What passed here into law recently is paid family leave, which can be a really good thing and can make companies very competitive if they offer it to their employees. It can also be a negative thing, and I'll explain that. But let's let Tim Walz introduce you to what he thinks is probably going to win him the next governor's election in 2026. Roll it, Misty.
And one of the things is that has been missing in America is what happens if you have a child? How do you take time away, and how do you bond with that child, which we know all the research shows how big a difference that makes? Or what happens if you've got a family member that's sick? My family's going through that right now with a mother-in-law. Or what happens if you yourself have an illness and have to be either through treatments or hospitalized? The choice in the past was lose your job or go broke, or care for yourself. Or, as we were just saying, if you're lucky enough to have family support and people who do that, it's not the way things should be done. And I continue to say this, United States is about one of 3 or 4 countries that doesn't have some type of program like this. Now we join the states that are going to implement a paid family medical leave program.
Well, it is wise to have each state implement its own laws like this, not just a blanket federal law, because every state is different. That's why we are the United States of America. We're a constitutional republic. We're a group of states. And what people need in Utah is far different from what people in New York and California need, and you get the idea. So, as a country, no, we don't have it. We're a massive country with a lot of different states. So Minnesota is implementing this. The thing is like, I live in Minnesota, and when I had my baby, I was given leave. Now, does every company do that? I don't know. Probably not. But what about the people who don't have babies? Single people are going to watch their colleagues go off and take 12 weeks, 16 weeks, however many weeks to bond with their baby while they're grinding. Okay? The other thing is that when that person comes back to work, are they at a disadvantage? We'll see. But you're getting paid. Now, here's the interesting part. Is this ripe for fraud? Will there be fraud? The cynical answer is, we're sitting here in Minnesota. Of course there could and probably will be fraud. Let me take a second to tell you about one of my favorite companies in America, and it is Solaire. You can find them at besthotgrill.com. My friends there, they're doing something they rarely do, which is to hold a sale on their Solaire infrared grills. And I have one of these. These things are amazing. From November 24th through December 5th, they are offering a 25% discount. So you got to jump on this now. Off of their Solaire Anywhere and Solaire Everywhere portable infrared grills. This thing it's like the size of a laptop. It's super light. They're the perfect gift for a college student, a tailgater, a boater, an RVer, someone who just loves to picnic, for the favorite foodie in your life, or for you. Don't you deserve the best? Now, also through December 5th, when you purchase a 27-inch or larger Solaire infrared grill, you will receive for free a stainless steel griddle and a quality USA-made cover to protect your investment. That's up to a $650 value. Imagine not only grilling juicy and tasty food, but also making eggs, pancakes, smash burgers, fajitas, pizza, anything you would like on your free professional-style griddle. Go to besthotgrill.com to learn more about USA-made Solaire infrared grills and their Black Friday Cyber Monday sale. Besthotgrill.com. Buy Solaire infrared grills on sale through December 5th at besthotgrill.com, besthotgrill.com. So we go from fraud in Minnesota to Brooke Rollins. She is the Secretary of Agriculture. And at this week's cabinet meeting, which was the last of 2025, she says she's going to be moving to halt federal funding to states who refuse to turn over SNAP data to help root out fraud. So here we have fraud that we can see with our own eyes. It's pretty blatant and pretty bad. It's damn bad, folks. It's really bad. And we've only reached the tip of the iceberg. And Brooke Rollins is saying, well, you know what? You can help us. You can help us root out this fraud when it comes to SNAP benefits. Help us. Because this is taxpayer money. This is your money. It's yours. It's not the government's. It's yours. The government distributes it very often badly. So they're trying to root out the fraud with SNAP. So she's asking for this to happen. Go ahead and roll it, Misty.
We had a couple of people receiving benefits in 6 states. In February of this year, we asked for all the states for the first time to turn over their data to the federal government, to let the USDA partner with them to root out this fraud, to make sure that those who really need food stamps are getting them, but also to ensure that the American taxpayer is protected. 21 states said yes, not surprised. 29 states said yes, not surprisingly, the red states. And that's where all of that data, that fraud comes from. But 21 states, including California, New York, and Minnesota, the blue states, continue to say no. So as of next week, we have begun and will begin to stop moving federal funds into those states until they comply and they tell us and allow us to partner with them to root out this fraud and to protect the American taxpayer. As Joe Biden was working to buy an election a year ago, he increased food stamp program funding by 40%. So now as we continue to roll that back. So
do you know who Kathy Hochul is? She is the governor of New York, one of those 3 states that Secretary Rollins just mentioned, also Minnesota, California, of not being willing to turn over their data. Now, mind you, this is federal money. This is money that taxpayers give to the federal government, not the state governments, the federal government. And the federal government then says, all right, who needs SNAP benefits? Legitimately, who needs SNAP benefits? And then they distribute the money. So they're asking states, hey, can you share your SNAP data with us? So we make sure that in addition to being kind and empathetic to people who need SNAP benefits, we are also kind and looking out for the interest and empathetic with the American taxpayers whose money we are spending. I mean, there are 2 sides to this. So the taxpayers deserve empathy too. But Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, tweets out, this administration is hell-bent on starving people. No, Kathy. They just want data so they can make sure that taxpayers don't keep dishing out money that goes to fraud. That's too much to ask? Whenever the government, the federal government, wants to root out fraud, you will find someone like Kathy Hochul saying, they want to starve you. They want you to die in hospitals without any health care. That's what they will say. All right, so what that is leading to is something called socialism. And for those people who are not well versed on what socialism really is, I think Bill Maher gave a great tutorial on his show recently. So Misty, let's roll this.
Here's capitalist South Korea at night from space. Here's socialist North Korea. Yeah. In 1990, Venezuela was wealthier than Poland. But then Poland, finally free of Soviet-style economics, went all in on capitalism. And now their economy is as big as Japan. And people there have high wages, low inflation, cars, vacations, homes. Meanwhile, Venezuela traded capitalism for Hugo Chavez's Socialism for the 21st Century, which turned out to be like socialism in the last century, or any century, a fucking mess. It turned one of Latin America's richest countries into one of its poorest. Low wages, high inflation, shortages, outages, 8 million people fleeing. If you think New York can somehow reinvent this wheel, you're in for a rude awakening. Zoran can't make your wishes come true. You're thinking of Zoltar.
So good, we had to run it for you twice. I think we ran that in last week's or 2 weeks ago, Wildcard Wednesday, 2 weeks ago. It's that good. And it's that important that people who think, oh, no, just try my brand of socialism. It'll work. Let's just try democratic socialism. It'll work. It never works. It's been tried and tried and tried and tried. And so really, honestly, just, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe Bill Maher. Do a little cursory study of socialism and understand that this is not the way. And for everyone that thinks that capitalism is so bad, like for instance, this next woman, Jennifer Welch, suddenly she is now, she's kind of the face of something that I don't relate to. It's a woman who finds herself a celebrity and she's got plenty of money, but she hates people with money. And so I want to run this recent clip of her on a podcast, and I want to point out some hypocrisy. We've got to point out when people say things that are just flat out hypocritical and wrong. Go ahead and roll Jennifer Welch.
The parasites in this country are these billionaires. Think about the fact that Kanks, that's what I call Trump.
Yeah, we've adopted it.
Kanks, Lil Smokey, Peter Thiel, that demon queen,
Yes.
Scott Besson, another demon queen. They are billionaires. Billionaires. And what are they doing with their money? Are they leaving? Are they like donating money to cancer research? No, they're tearing up the country, browbeating poor people. And it's just so gross. And they're the parasites because they're the ones that should be paying more in taxes. And you know what? Their life wouldn't change at all. But for these working class people in middle America, instead of hating immigrants, if somebody would just go tell them the truth, these people are lying to you and they're ripping you off and they're getting you mad at the wrong people. And hopefully when we see victories like Zoran's and other people's victories recently out of the Democratic Party, we can start messaging this because this unrestrained, unregulated capitalism is not sustainable.
Okay, capitalism is not unrestrained and unregulated. That's flaw number one in her argument. There are tons of regulations. Tons. Tons and tons and tons. Secondly, she's cheering on Zoran, a socialist. Thirdly, did you notice she called the two gay men, Peter Thiel and Scott Besant, both of whom happen to be gay, she called them demon queens. You can choose to be offended by that. I'm not offended. I am sickened. Like, that's disgusting. Demon queens, she called them. She is a hateful woman. And she is saying that billionaires are the parasites. What are they doing with their money? Are they helping anyone? Well, interesting timing, Jennifer. Yeah. They are helping. I've got a perfect example for you. Shall we get into this? Let me tell you about it. It happened Tuesday, and it's really pretty damn cool. And it's brought to you by a couple of billionaires. A couple named Michael and Susan Dell. Dell of Dell Computers. These parasite billionaires are donating $6.25 billion to a fund to help infants, I believe beginning in 2026. The donation will go towards savings for roughly 25 million American children who aren't eligible for the $1,000 in seed money the government plans to provide for younger children in the new investment accounts. These are the Trump accounts, I think they're being called. The tax plan passed by Congress over the summer created tax-deferred investment accounts for children under 18. The Treasury Department will contribute $1,000 to what are called the Trump accounts for children born between Jan 1, 2025 and December 31, 2028, who have a Social Security number and are U.S. citizens. The Dells said Tuesday that they were seeking to fill the gap for children who weren't eligible for the government funds. And so their donation will provide $250 for children 10 or under who were born before January 1, 2025. So I stand corrected on that. The gift will target children in zip codes with a median income of $150,000 or less. Yes, these parasite billionaires, let's have Trump tell you what they're going to be doing. These parasite billionaires, roll the tape.
In honor of America's 250th anniversary, the Dells are announcing today that they are giving 25 million American children $250 each to save and to invest in their personal Trump account. Now, that's the equivalent of $6.25 billion. In other words, to put it succinctly, Michael and Susan are giving $6.25 billion in total, and as a total contribution.
Such parasites. Such horrible humans, these billionaire parasites, these billionaires who don't care, who don't donate anything. Does this human, this mad, angry Welch person, does she understand that so much of America has been built through philanthropy? Does she get it? She's just spewing about stuff she knows nothing about, and right on cue, in step the Dells to help fill this gap. These investments that will be managed by the parents or guardians, not by the government, certainly not by Jennifer Welch. And there we go. Because you know what? Capitalism works. She says it's totally unregulated. No, it's not. There have been plenty of white-collar criminals who have ended up in prison for doing the wrong things in our capitalist society. Plenty of them. Remember Enron? Do you remember that, Jen? I hate to get so petty, but she is really something, calling Scott Bessent a demon queer. What a sick human. Calling Peter Thiel a demon queer. What a sick person. She's supposedly an inclusive, nice liberal, and you do that, really. So, folks, capitalism has raised more people out of poverty than any other form of economic system. And she's going to just tell you that you're a victim. I could go on and on about this for another hour, but I'll spare you. And I'll finish with saying what I say at the end of every one of my podcasts, which is be brave and do good. Doing good sometimes means giving $6.25 billion. Sometimes it means just giving $6.25 to the Salvation Army. You're going to see the bell ringers out there again. It's the holiday season. Sometimes it means just tipping someone for doing a good job. Sometimes doing good just means smiling at the guy across the counter from you, or saying thank you and looking someone in the eyes because they're human and so are you. That's all. Be brave. Call out people and their hypocrisy. And you don't have to do it publicly, but just do it in your gut, in your soul, in your mind, in your heart. Know that these people, like this woman who is so upset and angry at whatever, I don't even know what. She seems to be healthy, happy, comfortably dressed, all the rest. They're so angry. And yet there are people out there like the Dells and many, many others doing philanthropy, which is a far better and more effective, efficient way of lifting people up than by government handouts. Now, we are a benevolent government, and so those people that really, really need it, our government is there for them. but for things like scholarships and for these investments and for hospitals and theaters and libraries and so many things that you that are named after people, it's because those people were philanthropic. So be brave, call it out, do good, smile at someone, say hello, whatever. And we'll see you next time. You can keep up with the Trump administration when you subscribe to the Trump Report. It's an email that brings you daily highlights from the Oval Office right to your inbox 5 days a week. Subscribe today at SalemPodcastNetwork.com/Trump.